So, Brothers in Arms, Chapter 1. In the dim light of the new moon, anyone watching the hillside might have glanced past the form of the Firbolg, who slowly crept along the edge of the brush. His blue-gray skin was as stone-like as the earth his kind was attuned to, and despite his impressive size, his movements were almost completely silent. Now and then, Bax paused, reaching out to touch something in the dark on the bark of a tree or the surface of a rock, bringing his fingers to his nose to sniff. Then he continued on. This was not a task to rush. The beast he was tracking had already taken many warriors, older and more experienced than he, who had chased after it in haste. It was a difficult patience to maintain when he knew what was at stake. But if the beast was abroad tonight, getting himself captured certainly wouldn't help his sister, Angelia. Reaching the crest of the ridge, Bax looked down into the gully below. His heart stopped. The beast was abroad and had found prey. Despite the danger, for that split second, Bax was dazzled by light and perfection. Even in the dim light of the traveler's fire, the man was more glorious than any living being Bax had ever seen, shining with such golden beauty that his heart restarted at a gallop. Even though he'd only heard of them in the elders' campfire tales, he instantly recognized the being he was looking at. Fionn She, the shining host, awesome, awful, and awe-inspiring, the undying lords of Fairy. Then adrenaline took over in a rush, and Bax leapt forward without a second thought. The otherworldly traveler and his horse were wrapped tight in the beast's serpentine grasp. The horse brayed, fighting and struggling to get free, kicking towards the beast's massive body. The man, his lower half pinned to his horse's flanks by the coils of the beast, clung desperately to the trunk of a young oak tree that was bending from the force of the beast's pull as it tried to drag them away. Immediately Bax raced for them, forcing the stream at the bottom of the gully. As he ran, he drew his two short silver-edged swords from their sheaths at his back. He swung at the coil of the beast again and again in a desperate attempt to get it to release the man. Puerile slime splattered against him from the force of his blows. He heard a distant blood-curdling scream, and the beast shuddered, its coils loosening enough for the traveler to pull himself free. Suddenly, something slammed into his shins, cold and wet, wrapping tight and squeezing hard. Another beast. Desperately he slashed at it, but it gave a mighty yank, pulling him off his feet. Bax's back connected hard with the ground, knocking the wind out of him as the beast started to drag him down the gully. Fighting for breath, he dropped his swords to frantically grab at the rocks and brush as he passed. There had to be something to anchor him, anything to keep it from dragging him to its lair like it had so many others of his tribe. For a second, his hands found purchase on a stone ledge. Hope leapt into his throat, only to be torn away as the beast yanked him free. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm him as the beast had, a tingle raced over his skin, accompanied by a chanting yell. He caught a whiff of the sharp, sweet scent of birch, and then everything around him was light. A rushing warmth surrounded him, followed by an arch of flame that streamed over his head and into the trunk of the beast. In the distance, the terrible, blood-curdling scream came more loudly. The beast thrashed, fleeing him against the gully wall. Bax's head connected with the stone in a flash of pain, and then everything went dark.